All right, guys, welcome. Zach in here.
Rick in here.
And welcome to the Wholesaling Accelerator. So this is actually our second live event we've ever done, and we're excited. And as we've said before, we have more people here than last time, and this will probably be the second smallest event we're ever going to do. So I want to, first of all, congratulate you guys for coming. Every single time, it's just going to be more people. So you guys are seizing the opportunity now, and I really do appreciate it. So let's get into it, and let's talk about exactly what this event entails. It's a little different than the last one, but it's here to help you guys out. So let's kind of break down exactly what is the Wholesaling Accelerator. So what's this event? Again, the wholesaling is a tough business. I ain't gonna lie. It's not easy. It is not an easy business to get started, but it is a business that is worth it. Now, the first $100,000 in wholesaling, if hopefully you guys will all reach that point, but the people that have know that is the hardest. It's not the easiest, it is by far the hardest way to be. You gotta do a lot of stuff, you have to do the most work, and this is where you make the most mistakes. This is where you struggle the most, but eventually you get to the point where you can make $1 million. And what we have found through, almost thousands of people at this point that have passed the 7-figure mark, the next $1 million is the easiest because you're not doing all the work yourself. You actually end up working less and making more. But there is some hurdles you gotta get to. And now, a lot of people are like, I don't want to make $1 million. I'm here to make 100, right? So this event's not this crazy big scaling event, right? We're not telling you to work harder. We're showing you how to work smarter at this event. And that's kind of the point here. This is not your scaling boot camp. This is an accelerator. It's to accelerate. So if you're making $5,000 a month and you want to accelerate to 10, this is the place for it. If you're here to make 100K, you want to bring it up more, this is the event for you. This is the point. So this is no crazy scaling boot camp. This is help you to scale and grow and make more money, even if you've made no money at all. That is the point of this event and what we're going to here to help you out. So what is this event going to show you? What is it going to do for you so we can set our expectations here? Number one, we're going to help you grow your wholesaling business. That's number one. Can you?
I was just scooting it over.
I know. So what is this business going to do? Here, take the mic.
Oh, okay.
Take it.
Look, guys, the whole point of this event is, I have some people here who probably haven't done a deal, and I have some people who have done 30, 40, 50 deals. So it doesn't matter what part you're into it. I've been in every phase. He's been in every phase, and the idea is because we're such a small, intimate crowd, we have more than enough time to connect with you and accelerate it to you. So the only way this works, tell you the truth on this, you've got to be brutally honest with yourself. Because if you can't, as you guys hear me say this before, if you can't tell yourself the truth, I can't give you advice and suggestions to fix it. So the more honest you are about it, and that's not an excuse to complain, you guys know how I feel about that, but you've got to identify your weaknesses and find someone's strengths. Either it's me, Zach, or it's somebody in this room, or a combination of it all. But if you can do that, I can help you. I've always said you have to leave your ego at the door. If you want to learn, this is how you do it. So that's step number one. You got it back up and working?
Yep, all good.
Click.
There we go. So what are we going to do? We're going to help you grow your event, grow your business. Now, next part we're going to do is help you change your old self. I think a lot of people have this mindset of trying to get it going and trying to get it. It's a mindset we got to change of working harder and start working smarter. Now, the next part is if some people have this problem. I don't think anyone here has this problem, but you need to humble yourself in front of others. Actually say what's going on to other people. These are not, it's not like another guy, some people have this, but like you're talking to another guy in Dallas. Maybe if you're in Kansas City, you're talking to somebody who's doing deals in Houston. Humble yourself in front, tell them what's going on, and they can help you with their struggles. It's very rare to be at an opportunity where you can talk to somebody who doesn't have an ulterior motive or agenda that tries to sway you with the wrong list because they're competition. It's not that. So that's the point. And even the people in Dallas are doing stuff like they're working together making money, and they're here to help you out. And so next part, we're here to help you make a change. That's the biggest one. Change is going to be probably the thing that's going to help you grow the most. Now, with growth, it's uncomfortable. It ain't easy, but it's worth it at the end. Obviously, we're going to help you work on growing your net worth, not your revenue. I think this is an extra point. Once we're accelerating our income in wholesaling, a lot of people accelerate their expenses. You got to focus on just adding that net worth so you don't have to wholesale, but you do it for fun. That's kind of the point of this event. Now, let's talk about exactly what this accelerator will not do. Again, like the last event, this will not make you change. It won't. I think a lot of people want us to make the change for you. You have to make that conscious decision in your brain to change. Now, on top of this too, we're not going to make you do the work. Work is required, consistent work. And if you're not willing to work on yourself, make the change, it ain't going to happen for you. On top of this too, you ain't going to make no fast money. I think a lot of people expect that starting out, and that is not what this event's going to do. It's not going to make you fast money. And then on top of that too, we have no promises you're going to make $1 million. There's no financial promise you're going to make all this money. You have to do the work. And if you do it, it will happen for you. So that right is earned, not given. And so let's talk about who's Rick Ginn if you've never met this guy before.
Okay, I promise I'll keep this short because it's a really long story, but okay.
It's good.
So as you guys know, I've been doing this over 20 years. I have been through every stage everybody's been in this room. I've been through the good, the bad, the ugly. I've quit so many times. Nobody believes me when I quit, especially my wife. And a lot of you are thinking, most of you aren't thinking about it, but at some point, be brutally honest and go, man, I don't know if this is for me. Guys, the truth of the matter, if wholesaling was super easy, we wouldn't be sitting here. If everything's super easy, everybody does it, and it doesn't become super easy anymore. That's the bottom line. So you've got to understand that in wholesaling. What drives me nuts is when people just say, oh, it's so easy. It's not. So we're in a society where everybody likes to look at the end result, and everybody just wants to get there. So you guys witnessed the TikTok craze, and there's a lot of stuff going on in wholesaling. We're going to talk about that. But they're like, oh my God, you can make $100,000 a month. That's amazing. But most people don't want to go through the journey. They just want to get there. In fact, if you guys have an experience, I remember when I first started wholesaling, they go, what do you do for a living? I go, I do wholesaling. And then I start going into this long-winded explanation. And you ever get that blank stare back at you like, what? And then after a while, you're all going to cave in and do just like I do. I just do real estate. You just simplify it, because the reality is, outside of people in this room and people you connect with online, with me, Zach, and fellow wholesalers, nobody cares. It's just the truth. And you waste your effort trying to explain this. This is 20 years of me. Perfect example, we came to the airport. The lady, we were in the car, she's like, what do you do? And Zach's he's so trained, he's like, we do real estate. Everybody just assumes we're realtors, right? And so don't explain it to you, because number one, they don't care, and number two, they're never going to wrap their head around it. You're doing what most people would never dare to do. So once you understand that, I'm just telling you, I'm giving you a hint right now. Do not tell everybody you're a wholesaler, because they assume you're buying something from China, you're the middleman, and then you're selling it at Costco or all the stores. And it's kind of what we do, but it's just real estate specific. So as I said, I've been doing this 20 years, and I've been in over 3,000 deals, like literally. I've probably had 1,000 deals fall apart on me in the whole thing on the average. So it's not just 3,000 wins, man. I got my butt kicked the first 2 years doing this business, and it's no different for anybody else in this room. I had to go through the same crap you did. End of story. You've got to understand that. It was not a gift to me. Everyone's like, well, you started in 2003. It was so simple back then. There was no information. It was the wild, wild west. And I look back now, it was a gift, but the same things hold true to this day. People told me it's going to be illegal, direct mail's dying, it's not going to work, door knocking, you're not going to be able to do it. Everything they told me, I just did it. In fact, I thought I took the bravest route. I should have done cold calling. If I could have gone backward to that, I went door to door on pre-foreclosures. And I've been chased by dogs. I've been spit on. I've had stuff thrown at me. I had someone throw gas at me once, said they're gonna light me on fire. I'm just like, why am I doing this? There's gotta be a better way. I have some better ways, and I'm gonna share them with you, because you're in a different world today. Door knocking It's not what it used to be. I think Ring has cornered the market because nobody wants to answer the door anymore. And you can't do it anymore. And you got to look at your safety. As much as the opportunity is, you have to assess your risk in doing wholesaling. You don't want to be stupid about it. So I've done every wrong way you could possibly do, and I'm going to show you the right ways to do it. So I didn't do this till I was around 34, guys. I got into it at 33. I fumbled for a year. I did everything wrong, and then I found wholesaling. In fact, I went out and bought a bunch of rentals, did it traditionally with a bank while I had a corporate job, and found out the banks will only give you so much money to buy property. Why? Because that's all I knew. That's what they taught me. I go, there's got to be a better way. Bottom line is, I ran out of ways to do it. So I initially tried to work for realtors, tried to do it while I had my corporate job. And my plan was to buy 10 houses and in 10 years have them paid off free and then set me and my wife financially free. Well, a lot of stuff happened in between. I mean, a lot. I got hit with back-to-back hurricanes. I had property insurance go up like triple. Property taxes are out of control on rental properties because they're not capped off. And I just wasn't making any money. And then I hit the worst market you could possibly start in wholesaling. And you're like, oh, Rick, that was a great opportunity. I had a bunch of properties and they were vacant. And I had all these bank payments. And that's how I got introduced to wholesaling. I found it by accident. I don't know how I did it. It's like God's intervention. It was the best way to do it. I go, how can I minimize my risk and maximize the reward? And I stumbled on it because the internet wasn't what it was today. You're not going to find Flip with Rick or anything like that. And I was fortunate enough to find some old school people to kind of walk me through wholesaling. And the one thing in 2003 and 4 they taught me back then is pure fundamentals. It's just like if you're in a sporting event, soccer, football, you've got to learn how to kick the ball. You got to learn how to tackle people because everybody wants to look good on Friday, Saturday nights. But the real people that put it in, I think Kobe Bryant's amazing what he did. Nobody wants to know the journey the man went through before you get there. Michael Jordan, the same thing. These guys just hours and hours. Kobe gets to the court like 6 hours before the game starts. Every game he does. There's no camera crew, there's nothing there. In fact, he did it for so long. You will not get the praise for wholesaling until well after it. Nobody even recognized me in wholesaling until 7 years into it. So you've got to understand that. When nobody's clapping, are you going to do wholesaling? Because they're not going to clap when you start. In fact, the opposite thing's going to happen. Everyone's going to tell you to go to safety, go get that safe job. I tried that. It didn't work. I tried everything. So I didn't have a lot of guidance when I was growing up. My mother took very good care of me. My father really wasn't there. And it's one of the reasons why you see what I do with Zach. We all learn from mistakes. We got to pass it down better. So that's my escape my matrix. That was my job. I worked for Enterprise Rent-A-Car, where they give you the tools to be successful. As Will Ferrell, I won't bore you with the video. This was the owner's son at the time. He runs it, Andy Taylor. And that was the worst boss I ever had in my life. And my wife can tell you that. I mean, the man made my life hell. He's the reason I did wholesaling, and I'm very happy. At the time, I thought it was a curse, but that man forced me to make decisions I didn't want to make. I was way in over my head. I had a big fat mortgage. I had 2 very young children, and you guys know how the rest of the story went. In fact, that's Zach under my desk with my Bobos there, and me just wholesaling, calling people, talking to people, and that's what he grew up in the environment. And I always say, because I do a lot of fatherly advice here, is your kids watch what you do. They hear what you say, but they become very numb to it. And I'm a firm believer in, Zach's smarter. He got my wife's brains. He didn't get mine. He got my work ethic. And I remember when he said, well, he'll get in a story, but he's like, I want to do what you do, Dad. He's like, why? He's like, you spend a ton of time with me. I'm like, I got into wholesaling for freedom of my time. The money came afterwards. Once I got freedom of my time, I was well on my way. In fact, I did wholesaling while I had a corporate job. I was working 70, 80 hours a week. I was so miserable for 12 years. If I can save anyone that aggravation, to me, wholesaling was easy compared to my corporate job. I was on demand pretty much 24/7. They moved me around, and it got to the point they wanted me to travel all over the country. And I wanted to raise a family, and any of you guys are parents, moving your kids around. I wasn't in the military. That's a whole different level of service. I wanted to keep my kids in a stable place. So I knew I had to make choices. I was forced to make a choice. I wish I could go back in time and start when I was 17, 18, 19. What I'm saying is it doesn't matter when you're starting, where you are in life. It's up to you. The only person keeping score is you. You have to do it. So my journey is I grew up. So for full disclosure, so I don't get in trouble, I have another child. It's not a child, she's an adult now. And she chose a different route. I wanted my kids to do what they made happy. I never forced Zach to do wholesaling. As I said, I just led by example. And before I knew it, I was brutally hard on him. In fact, if you guys know as a parent, you never want your kids to suffer. I said, Zach, you're smart. You go get a good job anywhere. I said, why would I get a job? He goes, why would I do that? I'm just like, man, I got to listen to my own stuff. And that's when I got into the whole, hey, I can do this. And I went through it over and over. My boss said, you're crazy. They tried to throw money at me, cars. And I go, man, I got to be on to something because now they desperately want me. And any of you guys been in that corporate world? Anybody got a corporate job here? You know exactly what I'm talking about. And the day I left, they replaced me, and it was the same thing over and over. And I watched 8 other people go in my position. I was just a number. And anytime I wanted to try to get equity in the company, it was a tiny, like, little fraction of a private shareholder. I think I walked away with like 20 grand in stocks after, I think, 12, 13 years. I mean, that's ridiculous. I can do that in one deal. So I gave up a lot. Why? Because I didn't know I just didn't know my options at the time. So my matrix, 90 grand. I gave up 80 hours a week. I know that sounds like a lot of money. I was on call 6 days a week. No matter what, I had to be there. I had to do things I didn't want to do. I had to go to events, and I had to stay out late at night, and I had to rub elbows, and I got so sick of it. I told you 68 hours. I hated it, man. Like, and I recently checked it out. They said 72% of the workforce hates what they do. And I think 90% hate their boss. And we've come such a society where everyone thinks, oh, I have to do this. I fell in this trap. So I went to college. I was a good C+ student. That's the best I could do. Why? Because I learned differently. And you guys heard the story before. My high school teacher said, you're never going to get a good job. She was dead right. And it hurt me for like 15 years. I'm like, man, like that cut me to my core. I felt like I was like wasting away. So I tried to prove everybody wrong. So I went to college. I think I went 6 years, to be brutally honest. I had a good time in college. I did everything wrong. And I didn't really learn a lot. And then what was the first job that was offered when I got my bachelor's degree? What do you think most people wind up with a bachelor's degree? What type of position? Sales. You're going to wind up in sales. You're going to wind up doing that. Now, I already tell you, wholesaling is not about sales, so I don't want to scare anybody here, but I had to learn how to sell quick. I had to learn to sell crap I didn't believe in. And that's where I had problems. So I never really believed in the school system because I questioned, why are we studying this if we're not going to use it in business? This is back, I'm going to date myself, in the 80s, guys. I'm like, why am I learning this complex math stuff when I can just go on an antiquated computer or a calculator and figure it out? And the only thing I really mastered in school was spelling. I was petrified of my grammar teacher. She just constantly pop quiz, and it horrified me. And I studied deeply in that. But I was the type of guy, if I applied myself, I aced the test. But then I would slack off because if a teacher didn't captivate my attention, it was hard. And I had good teachers and bad teachers just like the rest of you. But I wound up in the corporate world, did the corporate job, and I got stuck. What did I give up? Man, I gave up a lot. And I decided when my kids were young, I'm going to make a stance. So Zach was around 3 or 4, right about in that pitch. What age were you there, you think?
4.
God, I'm getting old. He's still our baby. I just said, I finally said, I can't take it anymore. What am I going to give up? And I just said, it can't get any worse. And I always said I could always go back to my old job. But I'm like, I want to prove people wrong when I do it. And long story short, guys, is I'm here because I made a brave decision. And because I made that single decision, I broke the chain in my family. Now, my father didn't spend any time with me. He's a salesman, always on the road. It is what it is. My father's still alive, but he spent no time with me. And that's, if you're ever a young man or even like you want to spend time with your mom or your dad, when they don't give it to you, you go seek other people. And some of us get the wrong mentors early in life. So it doesn't matter where you are. I don't care how old you are. It doesn't matter. I've picked a destination. What I loved about wholesaling was there was no cap. I could do what I want. But I will tell you, it has a huge responsibility. You have to go out and you have to earn it. As much as wholesaling doesn't care about it, your education, your background, your income, it definitely doesn't care about your excuses. It doesn't care if you don't work. If you don't work, it doesn't care. It moves on to the next person that's going to do it. And I found this out in the hard way in the beginning. So I had some early success, and then I hit a huge slump. And I started doubting myself and questioning. So if you guys are having those thoughts, we want to help you work through them. The bottom line is it's up to you. All the pluses I tell you with wholesaling, the low risk, high reward, to me, you guys know real estate is the ultimate wealth vehicle, period. It's proven hundreds of years over time, well past the American society, even in other countries and other cultures. So if you know it is, and in the modern days you've seen all the stuff that goes on, I'm telling you wholesaling is, in my opinion, and I know I'm biased, but it is the best vehicle you can do. You have to cut your teeth though and get into it. Wholesaling, you have the closest touch to that deal, and whoever has the closest touch has the most control. Once you master on how to market, and then how to talk to sellers, and then how to do it over and over again, then your options open wide open. But in the beginning of wholesaling, most people make a mistake of trying to do everything and take advice from everybody. And there's other educators out there. Me and Zach aren't the only ones, but you have to master wholesaling. And so many people get into it and they go. So I went and I tried fix and flip. I tried to hold a bunch of rentals. I got way in over my head. I thought I could do everything. And when all hell broke loose, I just went back to wholesaling. And to this day, I rely 75% on wholesaling. Why? Because I love the deal. I get really bored. I got ADHD, you all know that. I get really bored after I ink the deal. I'm like, here, get rid of it for me. I was terrible at dispositions. I was so good at talking with people. And you guys know my skill set is I go very deep with people. And that's the skill set you got to understand. If you can do marketing and go deep with people, you can learn to get anything you want. This is not a sales job. I did a sales job, guys. It's not even close. You do the right niche marketing and find the right people. All you have to do is guide them. You're their guide. You walk them through. Just get them down the center of the aisle, and you get them, and you help sellers get out of their own way. That's all I do. And you're going to get a lot of rejection. If you can't accept that, this might not be the place for you. But it's the truth. But here's the crazy part is, I'm one of these crazy people. I actually, 21 years into it, I really enjoy wholesaling. Most people get into wholesaling, they venture off, and they become this big fix and flipper or like a national speaker. To me and my son run just an incredible wholesaling operation. I rely on my wholesaling income. To me, this is fun. This is not pressure to me. I have a good time. I have my son here. I have my wife here. If it was up to me, I'd have my daughter here. It'd be a perfect world. So I create wholesaling the way I want to do it. And my son inspired me so you guys know the story. I taught him. I'm going to have him come up here and tell his story. I showed him the way. He goes, Dad, you got so much in your head. The problem, like an ADHD person, for me to go on social media and figure out how to put it all together, I was like, I don't want to do it. It's overwhelming. Plus, I spent time developing products on helping people master it. And people go, oh, you can make millions speaking. And when I heard the speaking stage and the experiences I had with affiliate sales, stuff like that, I go, man, I don't want these lies are out of control. So I walked away in 2014. And then when I taught him the business, he worked 3 years into it. And on the 4th year, I'm like, dude, just be my partner. Let's run it. Let's go all over the country. And the rest is pretty much, you guys know the outcome of it. I chose wholesaling because I do it the way I want. The really cool part is if you learn to master the skill of it, you can do whatever you want with it. If you want to include your family, if you want to travel, and you want to do it all virtually, you can do whatever you want. And that's what I love about it. You all are going to take your own slice of the pie on it. But I'm going to bring my son up. He can kind of explain his story. And the idea is to simplify. We're going to talk about simplifying wholesaling today.
So that's it. Make some noise for Rick Gittins. Come on. Without him, there'd be no Flip with Rick or anything like that. So it's changed my life. I think it's changed a lot of people's lives, and excited for him to change your life. So who am I? My name's Zach Ginn. I think people know me too. I've been wholesaling over 7 years, almost 8 years now, since basically 17 years old. I'm 24 years old right now, and wholesaling is basically my life. So did my first deal closed at 17 years old. That was a fun deal. It's over $25,000 for a 17-year-old, which 17-year-olds should not have that kind of money. But I reinvested it and kind of grew it a little more by myself. So really starting out, I was kind of more of a solo guy by myself, kind of a side thing. Why, you were doing your professional wholesaling thing, right? And it was cool. I was a bandit sign kid, putting more signs, we buy ugly houses, and I was doing well. Basically, went to college for about a couple semesters, and then came back home because I figured I could take my tests online. That was kind of fun. I learned how to cold call, virtual wholesale, all this stuff by myself, and it was kind of crazy learning it because you kind of couldn't help me with virtual wholesale. You understood it, you knew it was real, but I kind of had to learn that. You never cold call in your life too much either, so it was weird. And I kind of went on my own path, and Rick had his own path too. And kind of when I came back, we kind of mixed our paths together. And like I was telling Nate, he was kind of running by himself, I was running by myself, and we did well. But when we went together, we didn't double our business, we quadrupled it. And that was the big secret. And we learned exactly more about how to scale. Because I never knew how to scale before. So I started working at about 19 years old and basically scaled the business to over 7 figures net. And basically, 7 figures net, that's net profit by 21 years old. And that changed my life. And basically from that end, business is doubling every year for a very long time. And so, I don't know how I put that there, but yeah, I put that there. And then basically by the time I was about 20 years old, I was able to have a net worth of over $1 million, which changed my life. You don't need to make $1 million a year to have the net worth of $1 million, I learned. Real estate did very well for me. So that's kind of the point here. You don't need to make $1 million to have $1 million. If you can make 100K a year, save half, over time that thing will grow. And that's the point where we have enough money in rentals, Airbnbs, and everything where we don't have to do this anymore. We get to. It's an opportunity. It's a privilege. And so we're excited about that. So that's who I am. But let's kind of talk about this event, what we're kind of going to do on day one, and what we're going to go over. So number one, we're going to go over virtual wholesaling, just a complete guide on it. I know a lot of people are doing their in-person, or maybe they're doing virtual. We're just going to learn virtual wholesaling for the first hour and really break that down and really kind of clean up the processes. Because even if you're not virtually wholesaling, I think by the end of this, you are going to start or JV or get some deals with someone. So we're going to break out into roundtable. So if you guys weren't on the last event, we're going to break down. Me and Rick curated groups for everyone just to sit down and break down your entire business together. You'll be with someone that maybe is in your market, someone you can relate to, and you guys all just like a mini mastermind with 5 people and really break out and break it down. And we're going to be pretty excited about that. We're going to break that down. You got your itineraries there too. We're going to have lunch for an hour, networking, whatever it is, for an hour, maybe 30 minutes. We'll see. And we're going to have Ace speak. We're pretty excited about that. He's got a really cool story. I think everyone saw the live yesterday. They were like, oh, I want to know more. It's going to be pretty exciting. And so we're going to hear his story. And we're going to do PPS Live. So that's pretty exciting too. Talk about probates. And then from there, we're going to have Deal Machine's going to come, founder David, and then Matt. And we're going to do some live deal finding. That's what I'm going to call it. And it's going to be some exciting stuff. I got some people who are a little scared to talk to sellers. So those are the people we're going to put up and make them talk to sellers and get deals. We're excited. And then last time, we're going to do the one thing, which is going to break down exactly the one thing everyone needs to come out of this event with to start doing some deals. So let's kind of talk about this. And then obviously, we're going to go to Vidoria at 7 p.m. That's like across the street, some Mexican rooftop place. I found Mexicans not as good in Dallas as in other areas. I think we'll figure that out. And I was going to San Antonio, but still pretty good food. So we'll hang out there after at like 7 o'clock. We'll have a couple hours, and we'll continue the party.